Hi, my name is John, and as everybody knows, this is my wife Deborah. No doubt you've seen her doing a little bit of stick welding. Welcome to another Wednesday catch up. Once again, I'm going to show a video from the archives, probably another casting video. But before I do that, I've got something really important to show. I got me 100,000 play button, and Deborah is going to open it for us. Deb's been very important in my sort of adventure through YouTube. She's helped us through thick and thin. She's listened to us swearing when computers wouldn't work. She's actually started to do a little bit of video work with us, so it's up to Deb to open it.
Oh, thank you.
I didn't realise how rare these are. It's less than 0.5% of YouTube channels manage to get one. You don't need to do that. Right. So we'll get a nice letter. So I'll do a close up of the letter you get. And that's the actual play button. What's it made of? Oh, aluminium, quite heavy. So that's it, 100,000 subscribers. The next one is 1 million. I can't really see us getting 1 million. But for a mechanic that pisses about, and a mechanic's wife that also pisses about, I don't think that's a bad. What is it?
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. I'm not quite sure what to say. Apart from thanks, Deb, for all the help. And a massive thanks to everybody who's subscribed to my channel and who's helped us and sent stuff in to be given away. Massive thanks from me. Right then. I've been asked by a friend if I can cast one of them using that as a pattern. It is possible. He only wants one doing. Any more than one I would have made a pattern for it. What I need to do is fill all these holes in. I'll use body filler, fill that hole in as well, give it all a nice coat of body filler and then sand it smooth. It's off an old ship. It's something to do with the Maritime Museum. So once again I'll be making something there's a fair chance of surviving. So we'll mix some body filler up, get it all filled up and sanded ready and have a go at reproducing that. I've just bought this tin of body filler and when I open it, that's what you get. What I put it in a tin, it's only unbelievable. Dear me. Basically fill the holes up first and then we can play with it later, sand it back to shape. So when you certainly get here, you get variety. You've got to know when to leave the stuff alone. I think now was the time to leave it alone. I've actually got this table set just off 90 degrees, so it's going to grind a draft onto the pattern. I'm going to put a taper on the pattern. Right, so if you look down the pattern now, it's actually got a taper on that way. All it wants now is a little bit more sanding and basically that's ready to mould. Just a simple case now of smoothing things off by hand. The filler sands off quite nicely. sure all the corners are nicely rounded off. Right, we've made the original part into a pattern simply by covering it in body filler and sanding it nice and smooth, and it has got plenty taper on, that's draft angle, so it will come out of the sand, hopefully. I'm going to put a board down there, the box goes on there. The reason for the board is probably when I pick up the sand box, the box filled with sand, that'll fall out. Where with the board on we can put it by the sides. Box is a little bit big, but it's better too big as too little. Gives you plenty of room to play with gating and whatnot. That's going to go in there like that. Next thing we need to put in is some releasing powder, parting sand. This just stops the sand from sticking to the pattern and from sticking to the other half of the box when we come to ram it up. This box, it's actually called a flask. It's in two parts. The cope and drag, this is the drag part. The bottom part and the cope part goes on the top. Right, plenty of parting dust in there. Normally I would riddle fine sand across there, but I don't know where my riddle is, so I'll just have to put ordinary sand in. But it is quite clean anyway. Normally I just work out of this box with the sand, but the sand that's in there is very dry, and I've actually mixed enough sand up at a temp, or enough sand just pure and simply to do this one job. Right, the sand must be rammed down, packed nice and firmly around the pattern, especially in the corners of the boxes. It's important that the sand's nicely packed around the edges of the pattern, so you get a clean break when you take the pattern out. A lot of people ask what sort of sand it is. This sand's actually called Mansfield Red because when you get it, it's red coloured and it comes from Mansfield. It just has the right amount of clay in it naturally to make a really good moulding sand. The sand's mixed with water, it's tempered with water to get it into the state it is now, which is basically if you squeeze a bit like that, it takes the imprint of your hand and it breaks nice and clean. If you get it too wet, you'll end up with a steam explosion. If it's too dry, it won't take the shape, it'll fall apart. It's just experience how much water you put into the sand. Right, I'm starting to get a so that's the bottom half of the mould, all rammed up. A little bit more in there. Right, and just tighten it off so it's nice and level. I've strickled it as I call it, or they used to call it. Right, so it's nice and level. Now we need to turn this over. I'm a bit clean up first, I think, with it. So if I just pick that box up, I'm pretty sure the pattern would fall out. So I need to use this little piece of plywood underneath just to keep the pattern held in, like that. Bastard. Right, so there you have your pattern now embedded in the sand. Right, the top half of the box goes on, or the coop. Pins keep it lined up. It has got paint marks on the back, I was just making sure. Right, next, more parting powder. Right, next we need a hole to pour the metal into, which is called a sprue. I'm going to have it across here somewhere, like that. I've got plenty of room in the box to play. And then we need a riser, which forms a reserve of hot metal to feed the mould. We'll have that there. And then we'll dig a channel between the two later on. So now we need to backfill this with sand, ram it all down again. Once you get a bit sand stabilised around the tubes, it's not too bad. Right, they're starting to get a hole now. Very labour intensive job this. People think you just poke a hole in the sand and pour a bit of hot metal in. It's not quite as simple as that. Right, so we've rammed the box up right to the top. Need to put some vent holes in the sand just to keep it porous so that any gas and steam can escape, just like that. We'll take these out now. Any sand that falls down there we can sort out later. This one here, which is the sprue where this metal goes in, I had to put an extension into it because it wasn't long enough. So what we'll do is we'll dig a basin, and that's heavy, basically full of wet sand, so it's probably as heavy as a big block of stone. Okay, so far so good. I've got a load of old molders tools given. Somebody sent them in for us. These have actually been cast in bronze. Somebody's used these to make a living, casting, or mould making, or whatever you want to call it. And I'm more than happy to use them. Right, so the metal comes down here. We need to form a basin, so any shite or dross gets caught in there. That should about do. That looks good. Right, finally we need to be able to get the metal from the riser into the actual part that's called a gate. Nice big wide gate, because there's quite a lot of metal got to go through there and we don't want it cooling off and freezing up. Right, I'll trim that up once I get the pattern out. It's not too bad. Now we're going to get the pattern out, which is always a fun part. What we'll do is gently wrap the pattern till it starts to move, like that. Just to loosen it in the sand. This is where all your work can go tits up. I did drill and tap a little hole in there for a 5mm bolt just to help us lift it out. Right, here we go. Steady hand, that's pretty good. That's not bad. Just tidy up the edges here. Any loose bits of sand need to be removed because they'll just get washed in. That's pretty good actually. Right. You don't use an airline to blow it off because it'll go everywhere. This is what I use, just a set of bellows for blowing up a sampling bed, just to blow away any loose grains of sand. Right. That looks pretty good. Hot metal down there into the reservoir, throw the runner into the gate, into the job, and hopefully we'll get a good result. That looks pretty good as well. Now you can see on the camera, you can see there, that's where the pattern is. So what I'm going to do is put a couple of vent holes right through, just to make sure that any steam and gas can get out. We'll put 3 in. Right. You could actually cut some out of there and make the gate bigger, a gear on the top, which wouldn't be a bad idea. Just like that, just to make sure we do get plenty of metal feeding in there when it starts to cool down. Pretty good. Now we need to put the top back on the bottom, which is always another part. There's a possibility of a complete disaster, but this is heavy and my arms are tired. Right. Oh, come on, you bastard. Oh, come on. That looks still alright. Come on, John. Right. Okie dokie. So ready now to light the furnace, put some metal in, and then that's the fun bit, is opening the boxes. Right, at the moment I'm going to open it. It's pretty well cooled now. That's where we poured the metal in, the sprue, and that's the hot riser. You can see how it's shrunk down. Hopefully as the metal's been pulled back into the void of the casting as it cooled down. Anyway, we'll open it up and see what sort of results we managed to get. Oh. First thoughts, it looks pretty good. You can see exactly how it's worked here. That's where the molten metal's come down into there. Any shade hopefully stopped in there. It's come along the runner. And that's the hot riser up there. And it's gone through the gate and into the void left by the pattern. This looks quite good. Nice and clean. Right, so we can get it out of there and have a better look at it. Quite warm, so you can see where I put the 3 vent holes in, how fluid the metal is. It's actually risen up those as well. Nice and clean. Nice solid casting. A little wee bit of shrinkage there, but nothing to worry about. Like a bell.